Welcome back to the Tom, Craig, and Omar Unnamed podcast for now. We're going to try to come up with a name for this today if it's going to continue, or maybe we just do it once and nobody ever watches and nobody thinks of it again.
Or for all one people out there that's watching,
Yeah.
Hi Mom, maybe you can contribute a name.
We'll figure it out. But so what we're going to do, we all work in different aspects of the mortgage industry, the real estate industry. We're going to kick some ideas around. And the goal for this podcast and for what we're trying to do is to help people give somebody something of value they can take away, and also to have it a little bit interactive. So if there's agents out there that are struggling with something, if there's mortgage lenders that are struggling with something, we give them what worked for us, because we're all somewhat successful to different degrees.
And we're in the trenches together.
I mean, I'm getting buried by the trenches, but yeah, we're gonna go around. So let's introduce ourselves, give you a little bit of background, and then we'll kick some ideas around. So start with you, Craig.
Craig Scharlach, Maximus Mortgage, 20 plus years in the business. Just have a passion for what we do. I mean, I love helping homeowners out. Any type of financial relief I can give people, or help them in my profession, is always a great feeling. I'm a father of two. In the gym every day, church on Sundays. Things are great.
Busy schedule.
Busy schedule. Yep.
Omar, kick it off with you. Like, what's your background on this? How long have you been doing this? And give us a little bit about your ego and your alter ego.
So I've been in real estate since 2016. Started off on a team, became a solo agent after about a year. Year later, then I started building a team, which you're familiar with. You were my first hire on the team.
Your first mistake.
Yeah. No. And always specialized in distressed properties, but have evolved into a lot more than that. We do a lot of luxury now, traditional residential, commercial. There's really nothing that our team obviously doesn't touch at this point. My alter ego, as I'm going blind, as I'm cresting 50 years old, is when I put my glasses on, my nickname is now Dark Kent, because nobody has any idea it's me. Just the glasses, it's an entirely different person. So if I want to fly under the radar and have people ignore me, because paparazzi's just beating down my door.
Obviously. Well, beating down somebody's door in your neighborhood.
Exactly. Yeah, we had the feds raid one of my neighbor's houses.
Yeah, mine too, about 10 years ago.
This was just yesterday.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, we had the Gloucester County tank pull our Yeah,
Also,
true story.
I'm a big fan that we said this you said it in passing this morning. You're like, oh, Dark Kent, that's gonna be funny, and we brought it up 6 times now throughout the day and setting this stuff up. So
It's stuck.
We're gonna force it this time.
Yeah.
So a little bit about myself. My name's Tom Cassidy. I've been in the industry for 2017, successful for 6 months. So yeah, you listen to everything I have to say. No, it's I've been on a roller coaster ride. I do a ton with the marketing, the advertising, specialize in that type of stuff. So with that part of it really gets me going.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate is fun, but it depends on the time of year. I mean, obviously it's a roller coaster ride for everybody. So what I want to talk about today,
Cats.
Obviously, yes, cats. I mean,
Did I throw you off your game there?
no, I have no game here to throw off. But I want to talk a bit about how do people wind up in this industry? None of us, I did not choose to be in this industry. I literally was what can I make? I got laid off from a job, and I was like, what can I make the most amount of money for what's perceived to be the least amount of work, which I was very, very...
Boy, were we wrong.
Very wrong on that. But you can do really well. But I was saying that nobody really chooses, at least the real estate side, as their first choice. You kind of fall into it through some awful tragedy that happens in your life. And you're like, oh, I'm a realtor now, and look at this house, and here's a kitchen. Is that the same way it is in the mortgage industry, or do you kind of see it a little differently?
Well, my story was, I was working at auto lenders, 9 to 9.
Were you selling cars?
Selling cars. It was a great company to work for. Work ethic. You didn't eat lunch.
Were you a slimy car salesman?
Absolutely not. We made $100 a car. Believe it or not, the flat fee.
That's it.
That was it. $100 a car. My father, wondered what I was doing going there. Before that, I was working on cars, in shops, and I got into it. And I had a friend of mine in the mortgage business that I banged into at the gym, and I remember him getting in and saying, "Oh, this is so hard. This is so hard." Then he disappeared. Then I'd see him out at the coastline when we were in there with our fishnet shirts and tight jeans on, and he's walking in his suits. And I said, "Man, what the heck is he doing?" I was so proud of him. So anyway, he got me into it. I definitely walked in the boiler room initially. It was a very different atmosphere than I was used to, but at that time I was a 20-year-old or 21-year-old father, and you couldn't fail. So I mean, we sat there and 200 calls a day. Me, Jerry Spence, Joe Bennett, some of the other guys.
So you were like the Wolf of Wall Street.
In a positive way, though. Yeah, not a negative way. I wasn't ripping people off, no, but it was a tough road. But I think it was work ethic that got me through it, and you couldn't fail. Every day 200 calls. We didn't have the dialers. We didn't have all this technology. 200 calls a day, and we really built something out of it.
So getting into mortgages and finance wasn't something that you aspired to. You were brought into it from an outside influence.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, I grew up with two educators, a principal and a teacher. I was one of three that didn't go to college. Didn't really know what I was going to be doing.
Did your siblings go to college?
They both did. I was the black sheep, in the middle, and always worked hard. Always hustled since I was a kid. I was a hustler, my whole life, whether it was doing side work, whatever the case may be, and got into it, following, being proud of a close friend of mine. I mean, I watch it as his career just elevate, hard work, and you of course see fancy cars, and not that was everything, but it was something I had to give it a shot. And believe me, I didn't know if it was going to work. Every day I'd say, man, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? And you had to make it.
It's funny jumping into something that wasn't like on your part of like your plan. It was again being an influence of somebody that you had a relationship with. That's similar to my situation. I was a personal trainer for upwards of 15 years prior to getting into real estate, and it wasn't something that I sat there and aspired to. I sort of fell into it by accident. Similar situation where I had hit a ceiling in my fitness career. Like I was doing well, but I was doing probably about the best that you could from a financial perspective in that arena. So, I had a friend of mine that was pretty successful in the industry, had honestly been in my ear for almost 10 years to come and give real estate a shot. And it wasn't until the timing of me knowing that I just completely maxed out and couldn't do any more than what I was doing, that I was finally open to the idea, because at that point, it wasn't about the industry that I was looking to get into. It was what was an opportunity for me to be able to provide more for my family and take that income to a higher to be able to raise the ceiling. Now, one of my big concerns was the type of personal training that I was doing. I was working with a lot of people that needed to do it, so I worked heavily with people
like
that
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you like Billy Blank doing the kicks.
I had that nickname for a different reason. But so I worked with a lot of people that were either severely overweight or people that had heart conditions, that had medications that they were trying to get off of. So the reward factor of that was off the charts. And I remember at the time where I was just signing up for real estate school, thinking, how am I possibly going to have that impact on clients? Because knowing that I was bettering people's lives, getting people off of experiencing pain for decades in some cases, that drove me to be the best at what I did and really take it so seriously. I was concerned that I wouldn't have that intrinsic passion with real estate. Like, how excited could you possibly be for getting somebody into a home? And that I was blown away by just how big a deal it is in helping people get into usually one of the biggest purchases of their lives.
The good news for you is that you're used to working with people with high blood pressure and high stress. So working with real estate agents and people that are buying houses fit right into your wheelhouse.
It sure did.
Of what you're looking at.
Yeah. People that have all sorts of chaos going on, and being that one that eliminates the chaos and brings peace and calm and order to the chaos that's going on in people's lives. And I know in your line, I mean, we have these powwows on a daily basis of all of our lives have enough chaos that we need to control on a regular basis, but it's a true skill. Maybe for some it's developed, other people it's like a God-given gift of being able to streamline all that insanity and get people on track and on task to close on the house, to get their mortgage finalized.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, for me, on my side, it's always, one gift I've taken after my mom is the gift of gab, so I'm great at networking.
I never noticed that you could.
You never noticed? Nah.
I
think I hold a
was wondering when you were going to speak up a little bit.
I don't think there's many places I don't hold a conversation. Today I'm a little quiet. It's my first podcast, but for the most part, anybody that knows me, knows me. There's not many spots I go to that somebody doesn't know me, and I care about people, and I think it resonates off my shirt, whether it be in a gym or I go in there for an hour, half hours to work the jaw muscles, the other half hours actually train.
Actually, I'm going to give you a compliment, Craig. No matter what, you answer FaceTimes.
I do
You're
answer. I'm a FaceTime calling and answering.
I appreciate that because I was like, it actually made you change the way that I do calls to people right now.
Yeah, FaceTime. I want to look at you.
Well,
I want to know what's going on.
So,
I want to know what you got going on.
So it's not necessarily for people, like if you cold call somebody and FaceTime them, you're a psycho. But if you know them and you FaceTime and you're like, I haven't talked to this person in a minute. So I've been trying to have, set up a meeting with a buddy of mine. And it's been 2 to 3 months.
Uh-huh.
I've been calling, texting, we get back, we play phone tag. I FaceTimed him. He didn't answer. He immediately texted me. He's like, yo, you FaceTime me. Are you okay?
Yeah.
It took him off autopilot.
Yeah, they got hit off the bricks. Me, I'll FaceTime you all the time.
I know.
I'll FaceTime Omar if he doesn't answer. He's tied up. I FaceTime you. You FaceTime me back. My friends, no matter who it is, like, why you? It's just the way I like talking. I don't want to hold the phone to my head and keep it on speaker.
I think on some level it's that you like it. It's more of a connection than just hearing a voice.
Sure, it is.
But what it made me realize is
even FaceTime clients.
Autopilot. You kick people off of autopilot. Everybody kind of lives their life going through and just expecting the next thing. Like, hey, what's going on? How are you? Like, nobody really answers like, oh, I'm awful. Like, I mean, if you get somebody that actually answers, how are you doing? It feels like it's an autopilot response. When you kick them off of autopilots, where you actually get to the crux of what's going on.
Sure.
Like, if you're like, how you doing? They're like, oh, I'm good. I'm like, really? Then they're going to open up to you.
You called me yesterday. How you doing? Not so great.
Well, I mean, you told me. It's the worst day of my life.
I got pretty beat up yesterday, but it's all right. I was very open. Well, you guys are my friends. Omar, I go to for guidance, probably twice a week. He's probably the only guy I do that with. But you have to have that circle. You have to have a circle of influence, and I think it's the same with your partners and everybody else you work with. I mean, I trust who I work with. If I don't trust you and I don't think we're doing the right thing together, I usually part ways. That's just the way it is.
Well, starting this industry, that's something that I want to get into. Is when you get into this industry, when you first get your license. So for me, like I said, I didn't know anybody. I knew one guy in the industry. He's awesome, but I didn't know that it was a networking industry. I just saw these people that were making a lot of money, and I was like, I'm definitely smarter than they are, but I'm not. But I would see it, and that was the reason why I got into it, not realizing that networking and who you partner with as an agent, not necessarily who you're working with, but who you partner with matters a ton.
Sure. I can tell you, I got a really, I wouldn't call it funny story, but it was, ironic how I got working with agents. When I started, I was saying earlier that we didn't have dialers. We had leads, and you would write on them, and they were internet leads, sold to many other parties, and you had to call them and consistently call them, and that was it. There was no guarantee, and I never took a day off, and I'd make 200 calls a day. Jerry Spence, Joe Bennett, some of these other guys I used to work with, and we just sat there every day, ain't or faint. We would push the car side of the road to make it to the office in an ice storm. Things have changed in this environment today quite a bit. And in May of 13, I went to Annie Mac. I went there pumping my chest. I was an $80 million producer. Things were great. And guess what? If anything could have happened the wrong way, it happened. The rates shot through the roof on a Monday to a Friday. I was spending about $40,000 a month on marketing. My acquisition cost per closed deal, I think, was roughly $3,600 a deal.
So because I'm not familiar with the actual number, what's a good number and a bad number?
Well, nowadays, I mean, the great number is referral. That's the best number, referral base.
Zero, right?
Zero.
Yeah, there's zero cost.
Zero cost. I mean, I was a heavy spender, but you made dividends off it, right? And I was, a high level operator. We did 30, 40 units a month, sometimes more. But what I had to learn overnight was you had 3 options. You were hemorrhaging very bad. You could either change industries, change companies like most do. I don't do that. And one thing I always commend Joe Panabianco to Annie Mac. I mean, we stuck it out and we worked together. We paid the deficit back and became one of the top. My first year, I got one of the top performers in purchase increase at the President's Club trip. That was my first year doing refis. Guy I could always thank for, even breaking me into it a little bit was John Clyde. John was a childhood friend in the gym, talked every day like I do Omar and some of the guys. And, One day I called him up. I realized I had to transition. I realized my sales force wasn't transitional, if that makes sense. Meaning I knew
Not
that
scalable, or like when you say not
Nah,
transitional.
it's a different market. Purchases. You're working with clients. You're doing pre-qualifications. They're sitting idle in some cases. And it's you may close 2 units a year with an agent. 10 with another. It's hard to say. Time takes a lot of time. Omar and I have pre-quals sitting around. One of my friends, not to say any names, I better answer the next FaceTime I send them because we want to know what's going on. But the thing about it is, it's time, and a lot of guys don't have that luxury of waiting to get paid. We're in commission. We're 100% commission. And I remember calling John Clyde up, and I said, John, listen, I just have a question. And it wasn't really directly to him. It was me going to him as a mentor, as a friend. Hey, John, what are you looking for in a mortgage banker other than just say I'm the best? Because if you're not, sorry, Omar, if you're not,
But that doesn't, honestly, that doesn't matter to a lot of people.
If you're not the best, you're not in the industry right now. We're out of the business.
Best, what does that mean? Like, it doesn't really mean anything.
I didn't know either. I just
Right.
knew,
What's the measure?
Here's my measurement with the best. When people say it, my measure was when I set a deal up. Back then, not like today, I ordered my own title, ordered my own appraisal, gathered my own conditions, made 2 files, one for me, one for the processor. When it went in, conditions came back. I cleared the conditions up. I needed to make sure every deal closed on time and when it had to close, and that's just all I knew. 1st through the 15th, you got paid for what you closed the 1st through the 15th following month. So I always looked at it like whatever I set up that month had to close by the 30th, or I'd wait 60 days, and that was something I could afford to do as a young father, getting into it. On the purchase side, though, going back to John Clyde, I called him one day and I said, hey, John, listen, what are you looking for in a lender? I had no idea that Andy Mac we had a rep that, things didn't work out with him and Andy Mac, and I didn't know they were looking for a lender. I didn't know any of that stuff. I had no idea. And he says, I was waiting for you to call me. He goes, I want you to sit down with Matt Teeter. Now, Matt Teeter, since he lives out in Texas, Matt's a great guy. His wife's, they're 2 of the best people. And Matt and I built a really strong relationship. He was the team lead at Keller Williams. And I remember sitting down with him and him spinning around his chair and hit me with the bricks. Why should I bring you in as a lender? And it was
feels like a loaded question.
It was a loaded question. And whoever had, I had to splurt it off my chest, hit him with the bricks, didn't give him a chance to talk. And he felt the passion I had, because what he didn't know was, I got to make this work. I remember listening to Eminem on the way there. I got 1 shot. That was it. And
Were you nervous?
I was nervous as hell.
Were your palms sweaty?
Palms sweating and everything else. Eminem blasting on the whole way down.
Eating vomit spaghetti. On your sweaty?
Then after we had a great meeting, every meeting after, we either had a blizzard, snowstorm, and it really pushed back. Tom Duffy was a big part of that. But at any rate, what it did was, my networking skills and I guess people skills, something that comes just naturally, really embedded into that culture. And
that's kind of what I was saying. Like, so you're a people person, Omar. You're a people person. I hate people, but like the way that we go about it is like I didn't realize it was a networking business.
It really is.
So you're 30 years ago, Craig. Right now, you got little Craig, smaller Craig, younger Craig,
medium Craig.
Medium Craig.
Some smaller Craig stores I'll leave out off the microphone.
Not little Craig, medium Craig.
Yeah, medium Craig.
So we got you back when you first started, and you have no money, you have nothing there, and you have to network with people. What would be your strategy now, knowing everything that you know, going into that space? And you'd be like, hey, listen, these are the 3, just kind of narrow it down to 3 things that you're like, these are the 3 things I would do to put myself in the best position, knowing.
I think the biggest thing is you have to take a sales hat off. I don't like when people call me a salesman. I don't like that sound, because salesman to me sounds like somebody crunching back and forth.
Sounds like a used car salesman.
Used car salesman,
Is it a mindset or is it a title? Because I think it's a mindset more than a title.
I don't know. I don't know what I like to. The word salesman to me can be good and bad. I like it more and more of a people person. I think that if I was to encourage anybody to get into the industry, 1, you got to have thick skin. You got to make sure it's the right fit for you, that you can hold out. Know that hard work pays off. 2, I think that you have to really set a plan up. You have to, you have to really stay consistent. Making 1 call to somebody, having a great conversation is not the end. You have to continue, and you have to show. And Omar, we built a great relationship up. You guys know that when I call you, it's because I care about you, and you have to care about your referral partners. I work with Nicole Paranto. She knows too. I break her chops. I call her every day. We work well together, and there's many others outside of it, but just 2 off the top of my head. But you have to care about people. You can't go in and just expect that you owe me a deal and I'm not going to. And when it comes to service levels, guess what? I think it's the best practice is to actually care about your file, never walk away from it. Track every spot.
You're hitting the nail on the head from a few different facets, not just with clients, but like referral partners too. Specifically, we're talking about what sort of connotation does the term salesman give, and it's usually a negative one. It's never a positive one.
Trying to force you to do something that you don't want to do.
Right, but when you start talking about caring about people, and this is something that you and I have talked about at great length, and so have us, is when you start taking it back to like the networking aspect, when you're going out and just meeting people. My wife always yells at me when we're in public situations and I'm meeting somebody for the first time. She's like, "You didn't give him your card. You didn't give him your card." And I said, I'm not going to give them my card unless they ask for my contact information, because I am not going to be a salesperson and just lead with, "Here's what I do. Call me for work." Like, no, that's not it. I believe all both of you guys align with this, in that the genuine relationship has to exist first. And when you focus on the people, not transactions, the transactions follow. And the simple why is because, well, they trust you. You weren't dipping into their pocket first. You were dipping into, like, not to sound cheesy, but like their heart, their mind.
Yes.
Like you're just building actual connections.
You got to care about people. When you care about people, it resonates. And when you go up to somebody not looking to make a dollar or thinking about money,
they recognize it.
The gym. I mean, that's a prime example. Look, I walk in the gym, they joke with me, they call me the Godfather or the mayor. And then the reason why, because I make a point, when I walk in the gym, every person that I know in that gym, and Omar can attest to it, I give them a hug, a high five, how's your day? And I make sure that every person I speak to, I let them tell me what they have on their mind about.
Right.
And because it goes a long way. And obviously, you gain a lot of business from networking that way. I look at it, but it's a place for me that I care about people. We have such a group in the gym that we set up a Christmas dinner outside. Do you think we work there? We do breakfasts and different things. Omar, he'll tell you, I cared about Omar. I didn't just say, "Hey, give me a deal." I talked about Omar every day in the gym. We would talk power time or time block, different ideas, goals, achievements, whatever it was going to be. And we would talk each other's head off. I'd listen to him. He's always, not to pat him on the back, he's pretty intelligent. So I like to run scenarios by him and see what he says, and we would analyze it. And I think I gave him deals up front, like, "Here, take." And that's the truth. And never ask for anything back, because I know that when I send a deal to him, I've already vetted Omar out. I know he's a great family person. I know he's got a good heart. He does the right thing, cares about us. I know that my people are in good hands. I don't have to worry about, because whoever I refer to, you have to be careful, because I don't ever want to, it's still going to be.
It's a direct reflection of you.
It's a direct reflection. Yeah. Certain things I don't refer out. I'd pass. I'd rather not, because I've seen them not work. Your reputation is everything in this business, and you have to make sure that you put your. It should just come natural. It's not work. What we do is not work. When we're tired, it's not work. Because if you took it all away from us, what are you going to do? If you took any of my stress away from me, my daily stress, or any daily things that I have to do, if you took the gym away from me, I don't think I'm the same person. So, believe me, I went through a funk for about a year and a half, going through a rough time, second divorce, didn't expect a lot of life stuff, and I wasn't working out. And guess what? The best thing for me was getting back in that gym. Because you know what it was? It was getting back in the gym, talking to people, networking again.
It feels good connecting with people.
It's just you're connecting. When you,
and this kind of takes me, this is circling back, like, my thought process to, like, the FaceTime. Is like, I'm speculating here, but I think on some level, and not even from, like, a selfish perspective, but let's face it, like, I know when, like, everything shut down during COVID and, like, our office shut down, I was miserable. Like, that lack of human interaction, with, like, masses of people that you can have, like,
it's actually not healthy, in my opinion. I think the less is better.
Was the gym to me? So you guys touched on this with the gym.
Yeah,
the gym's everything.
Gym is a spot. It's almost like like going to college, like in my opinion. And the reason I say that is not because of anything else, but when you go to college,
You get STDs at the gym.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't do the college thing.
well, no,
I did it for a
no.
week. I thought my dad was going to kill me. I
When
did
you
it for a week.
go, I have a ton of lifetime friends from going to college. Not because of any other reason, but you cram a ton of friendship and a ton of life experience into a short amount of time.
Sure.
So it's really only like 4, sometimes 5 years if you're there. But because you go through breakups, you go through life events.
They're formative years.
Yeah, you go through a lot of people, and you cram this time in. And like when you leave college, it's almost like that goes away because like you go off, you get married, you have a family, whatever happens, but you lose the ability to cram. Like that's why it's like, oh, I have enough friends. I don't need more friends. But the gym is the closest thing that I've found to cramming those friends in because you see the same people at the same time.
You have common interests.
They're all working towards a goal for themselves.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, make no mistake. I mean, first thing I like about the gym is accountability. Somebody holding himself accountable to show up. They don't have to show up. You know, when I look at sales reps or different guys in our line of work, and, you know, if you notice, a lot of us have the same habits. You know, you get up. I go to the gym 6, 7 days a week, most likely 7, sometimes twice. You know, and you say, what the hell? I had a friend you say, what's your end game? What's your goal? Why are you going back again? And I said, well, I could sit on the couch or go hit cardio. You know, and for a period of time where I wasn't going to the gym, mentally I wasn't at my best. Not at all. And it was after COVID and a lot of other life things. And just sitting home, not engaging, not talking. It really makes a difference, you know. And for me, going to the gym, it's a way of starting your day off. I mean, you have to do it. I mean,
You're getting off on the right foot, and you're getting it out of the way if you do it in the morning.
Sitting
too.
home does nothing. Yeah,
Right.
Sitting home does
hiring
nothing.
people, you should do that as your hiring process. You'd be like, listen, here's the deal. Meet me at 8 o'clock. We're going to.
We've done that.
gym.
Yeah, we've done that.
And
Yeah.
that's their high. That's the.
I have agents right now. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'll hold them accountable. I mean, Omar sees me. I walk in the gym.
Yeah.
Where you at? 8 o'clock. Group text. Where you at? You know, because you know what? We're friends, and they say, Craig, I need you to push me to keep doing it. And I do it because I want to do it, not because I want their business, because I want just to work out.
Just paying it forward.
You're just paying it forward.
Yeah.
You know, I've, you know, in our industry today, more than ever, I mean, who you work with matters. Sounds like a commercial. We've said it a lot in our past videos. And I think today, like, you know, if I was to encourage anybody and they want to get into business, you know, going back to that question and
Yeah,
get
like how
them,
does somebody break in? If they want
how
to,
does somebody
they see
break
us,
in? You got to focus on what makes sense. When I was a newcomer in the business, yeah, it was all networking. And of course, I love networking, so it fit right in. But I also had to realize maybe I'm getting old. You know, I'm 47 now, and I started slowing down and finding things of value and things. You know, doesn't mean you don't want to go have fun with others. To me, I'd rather be more intimate with people, show them how you can help them. You know, figure out for you the right connection to work together, and rather than just we got a crazy week this week, triple play. If I had one more triple play invite, and it's great and it's rah-rah. Now, if you're a little younger, it's one thing. When you have, get a little older, you have a girlfriend or whatever it's going to be, it's probably not the best sometimes to go down there, in my opinion, get a little jammed up. But I think that, to me, what makes the most sense for anybody starting, if I was hiring, which I will be hiring again, some different reps, is finding people that are coachable, that are open to listen, learn, not be critiqued, but in a way of because you care about them. So if I'm going to hire anybody or get somebody into business, it's because I care about them. I want to see them do well. Otherwise, why bring them on? Culture is everything.
Another thing I was just thinking about, and Tom and I in some of our business planning sessions, we talk about what can we offer to people new to the industry and who's an ideal candidate to bring on board, and so we're obviously deep diving here into the socialization aspect and using that to network, like the gym. But I talk with my team at great length of different ways that you can have that same networking aspect. And for me, I have a lot of oddly specific hobbies. For me, fitness in the gym was huge. I mean, being a personal trainer for over a decade. Mm-hmm. Ironically, I'm just kind of thinking about this as we keep coming back to the gym. I met Tom in the gym. We both worked at the same one. This was 25 years ago.
20. Yeah. 20.
I met my wife at the gym. Our interaction really happened at the gym. And I and even a lot of real estate clients came to me from the gym because I was trusted there. So again, that networking, that human connection piece was there. But other aspect, I know for Tom, for you, like, church is a big piece of your life, and that again is real human to human networking where you have genuine organic relationships with people. If and when those persons need any sort of real estate services, then you're typically the first one that they're going to call because, again, you led with being a human being, not a salesperson.
You nailed it. It's the value. Like you were saying before with salespeople, like none of us like salespeople.
No.
But if you go into it and you're like, I don't want to sell this person, but they might need my help and I might know how to help them in some experience. You're not selling them. You're legitimately going in and like
offering help.
You're offering to help somebody. And if you help enough people, you'll never worry about the business.
That's it.
People will recognize that.
People recognize who you are and what you do. And, we have a guy, I have Brad in the gym. Mm-hmm. He's worked with a client that we met in the gym.
Name dropping people, though. Like, I like
I'm going to give a shout out.
Here's the thing. We're going to tag all these people.
I'm going to give Brad a shout out at Berkshire.
We're going to tag all these people and be like, yeah, you got to listen to podcasts. And they'll get like, oh, you're 40 minutes in and we made a passing reference of how you don't go to the gym on time.
Yeah, you got to make sure you flex. But Brad and I met a guy in the gym, real nice guy, Mike. Turns out, just from talking to him, I found out he was one of the first homeowners in my parents' development that they still live. They built the house new, and great guy, awesome guy. He had some questions. He was thinking about selling behind the gym. He lives in the condos back there, and Brad happened to be walking by, and Brad was a guy that I've always tried to put in our circle. And I think he's great, and I knew he's honest. And I said, well, maybe talk to Brad. And he was just saying the other day they stopped in the office and, we're talking, But the point was with that is it doesn't matter if he sells or buys today. It's the fact that I want to make sure I'm doing my best foot forward to help him out, and care about him and his needs.
Care about him as a person.
Him as a person. If you care about people as a person, it's going to ultimately come back to you. Church, not to push holy rolling on you, but I'll tell you what. I go every Sunday, and I love it. Because it's not just about church, it's about clearing your head out and just taking away things. Where I catch myself coming into the gym and sharing what I just learned in church. And it's pretty weird. They say you're a messenger. Well, it doesn't have to be believing in that, but having faith in yourself. And I think if you have faith in yourself, the sky's the limit. And I try, and that's my biggest preach to sales, having faith. I can't tell you how many years I've been around salesmen, how many times I've been in floors of 40, 50 salesmen. There was times you'd walk in my office and the guys with headsets when a debt settlement was big. Business was down. You'd walk in, there was 70 desk people. What is going on? And I had to deal with all these personalities. And because you had to be a counselor. You weren't just a manager or a leader. You were a counselor. You had to hear about so I have a good way of resonating with people and understanding all different walks of life. And I think when you are able to do that and you can gift that, sales, or working with people on the mortgage side, the real estate side, it's just doing the right thing. And if you do the right thing and you take pride in your work and you take notes and you make sure that you're hitting your ass, and if you're not letting somebody know, you're going to succeed. But you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in now more than ever. You got to put the work in. And if you have challenges building relationships up, it's really, there's plenty of technology out there or resources that'll tell you, give you ideas how to find ways of meeting people and working with people.
We started off the podcast talking a little bit about that, but you guys at Maximus, I know you just made the switch over there. You guys have a ton of things that will help not only mortgage lenders, but agents that are starting out. And I think the biggest thing, like, you don't know what you don't know when you start.
Yeah.
So with agents, it's being able to reach out to somebody and like you don't know where they need the help.
That's it.
So Maximus has a ton of really cool tools, and I don't know if you want to drop like how to get in touch with you, just in case anybody does make it to here. It's like, hey, I'm looking for some help with this. It's not necessarily I want to do mortgages for you.
Sure.
I need to figure out.
You could always email me at Craig@maxloans.com.
I guess we'll tag that below.
Tag it below. Yep, I would give you my cell phone, but I'll let them email me first before I give them my number. But the thing is, with Max Loans, when I made the move, I know everybody in the industry for the most part in our area, very well, and worked with a lot of them throughout. And I think there's a lot of good companies out there. Boyce and I have known each other for Matt Boyce, who's the managing partner to it, and we've known each other 20 years. In fact, when I went to certain companies, he and I would talk back and forth, about different ideas, and it was kind of ironic how this connected, because, one of the things that, like you mentioned, COVID, a lot of companies in mortgage and real estate, everywhere else, they sit home. I'm not somebody sit home. I can't sit home. I can't be on an island.
That was detrimental for me.
It's horrible.
Being stuck, just not associating with
horrible
high amounts of people.
I need to sit with high level thinking. Things are going to push me. I need to sit with guys that are out of my reach and just keep pushing. And and it really brought me down. Because I could sit and talk, the leather off a ball. But yeah, I can do it. Trust me. But the problem was I'm sitting home and I'm not spreading my values. So, when I made the change here, there was a lot of things, a lot of add-ons for realtors that truly help. One of the big things with Lofty, we use, a lot of agents use it, and they're connected with our system. And Omar being, just somebody sitting in front of me, and I'm watching them. Hey, I can see what this guy's doing, this client, and you could be, it's almost being like a genie, or like a mind reader.
You can take a true pulse of your client base.
And I'm saying, what's better than that? What is better than that? And I'd asked Omar before I made the move. Believe me, Omar's a little bit of an impact on my move because we talked, and I'd always vet it out to him. What do you think? And where I came from was a great company. And they were great service, great owner. Everything was great. It was nothing to do with that. It was I needed to sit down and find out, how do I use my best foot forward, grow where I was again, build a group up, service my agents to the highest level I possibly can, enjoy it, and keep being pressed to do better. By being around like-minded people. And that was my main drive here. Now, as far as our system, which separates us from other companies, we do a handoff technique. Some guys out in the street, I hear them, talk, they lose touch of their file. That's not true. Not just that. If you know me, I'm not losing touch of anything. We have so many.
You death grip that file.
I death grip the file. I know every.
What's that book with the guy who kills the little rabbit?
Of Mice and Men?
Mice and Men. Yes, you do to the file.
No, my files.
File
I'm so old school that even with all the technology, I still keep a color-coded Excel spreadsheet, like a pro forma. It's just the way. I mean, people used to laugh at me. Why do you still use that? You can go and Compass.
Use the word pro forma.
I just got to keep pro formas, everything.
I love it, man.
I gear out every expense, and But the thing about it was, just coming here and watching the system, I'm like, wow, I've picked up probably about on a slow market about $4 million in applications.
It's a legitimate slow time of year.
Legitimate slow people.
And you're increasing.
And I'm increasing. So, that says something. I plan on taking, going to the sky's the limit. What I plan on doing. 2025 is going to be a record year for myself, my partners. I'm going to make it that way. I talk to guys a lot about coming over, doing vision boards and, just talking about just life, your talents. Why are we separated on just one thing?
That's why we're doing this, right?
Yeah. Omar and I, he's a mechanic. I'm a mechanic. Who would know Omar's taking apart Harley motors? I didn't know that. I tell him I want to do a thing when I rebuild it. Just keeping busy. You have so many different talents.
You keep your mind moving.
Yeah, you have to. And vision boards are so important to me because I think that you have to see who you are, And so it's, it's almost like, an example would be when I sold a townhome. I had to do some CO work, GFIs, whatever. And I'm watching people charging $150 a GFI. And I'm going, what in the hell? It was bizarre.
Just
and
buy it for like $15.
I do it myself, build a relationship with the agent like that, put the handrail up. But a lot of people can't do it. That's one of your talents. That's a minor one. Electronics, stereos, cars. I still can somewhat fit under a car dash due to remote starters. But you have
Hummer. Oh my God.
Hummer took the whole dash part. I had the H2. I had the 05 H2 when it first came out. It was my favorite truck. But the point is we have so many talents. And I think, I'll tell you the story. I had a story where I had two agents. This deal was just dragging. And it was in Vineland. And the other agent, I don't want to make it downplay anything, but it was sitting down. I had a low FICO borrower that at any moment FICO could change. We have no deal. And I'm clear to close now 30 days. So I had to get involved. And I asked one agent, can I ask you, does your buyer want to buy the house? He said, yeah. Do you mind if I get involved? I don't want to step on your toes. Same thing with the seller's agent. Does your seller really want to sell this home? Because I'm saying, well, what's holding our wall up right now? And it was about permittable issues down there. I called the township. Township was, Craig, you just got to disconnect this, and then we're fine with it. So what I did was I went down on a Friday night, disconnected the plumb and the gas line, and then reinstalled it after, to help out the client. But things like that, going that extra step, took that deal to the table. We closed, and it helped the realtors out, and it helped the client out. But not many people think that way, and I think I'm blessed to have talents and be able to do certain things where others may not think about it.
I think that's like the blue collar type skill set mindset. For me, like I remember when my wife and I, like, we first moved in together, and she was living in a house by herself, and I came over and immediately started fixing all these different things.
Yeah.
And one of the things was like the front door wasn't working.
Drives you nuts.
And so I said, I'm like, hey, like I fixed the front door lock. She's like, how? I'm like, I just took it apart, looked at it, and figured out how it went back together.
Turn it off and turn it back on.
Control Alt Delete. No, but to what you were saying about, okay, you had this problem with permits, and there's probably some like non-permitted work that you had to hide or like eliminate, terminate,
right.
Whatever terminology you want to use, and that ability to dissect a problem. When you're talking about like a motor or something physical, like a car stereo, an engine, whatever it is, being able to look at it, see all the pieces, understand why it's not moving or working in the manner that it's supposed to, isolating the problem, fixing the problem, and then getting it running again. I mean, that's literally exactly what you did. And I certainly have countless stories of the same, and I really do think it's like that mechanical mind applied.
It helps you. Listen, you never forget where you come from. And I came from a great family. When I've
been trying to forget.
I don't mean
the nightmares never
I didn't
stop.
come from the hood or anything like that, but I was blessed. But I also moved out at an early age. I moved out 2 weeks after high school. My mom was upset, and it wasn't because, listen, my parents are my best friends to this day. I talk to them 100 times a day. But
you FaceTime?
I FaceTime my dad every morning from the gym. FaceTime my mom. Unfortunately, my dad gets called first, my mom second, even though they're on the same level. But she gets offended. But the thing is that, it just, as a young guy, I would do stereos and alarms in my parents' driveway in high school, and I made tons of side money, and I was always a hustler. I don't mean a street hustler, or if I was that, I wouldn't tell you on a microphone.
I
was entrepreneurial since the time I was a kid, but I always knew how to make a dollar. And I worked at Circuit City back in 96, and two of the guys needed a roommate. Now back then rent was a little different. My share was $250. 3 guys living in the place, and I moved in. I've been on my own since. Had my son when I was 20. So I didn't have that extra cash to be fixing things. When I bought my first home, I was 21, I think, 20 or 21. My father and I'd be able to take wallpaper off at night, and I don't like that. I can't stand spackling. But my point was I had to learn all these things. So now I've become advanced with the engines. I'll sit and watch YouTube videos. I'll share it to my screen.
Learn anything on YouTube.
I watch a motor. I just said to my mom. I just said to my mom last night. You know what I do? Some nights I'll watch a whole motor getting torn down on my screen, and put back together, and it's actually pretty cool to me. I'll sit and watch every clip, every washer. Now, who does that? That's weird, right?
Now,
but I enjoy it.
There's probably 280,000 other people that watched it.
True story.
Yeah.
Tom once did an emergency tracheotomy from watching a YouTube video.
Oh, yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
It was on my dishwasher and it exploded, so not recommended.
Yeah. So, the good news is, I think it's funny when people say, well, who taught you that? Or how did you learn that? And then you tell them, yeah, all right. I'm like, what do you mean? I had no choice. I couldn't afford it, so I had to fix it myself.
You learned how to learn things.
Yeah, you had to.
And that's
a skill. That's a skill by itself.
It's a divine skill.
Well, it's the same with mortgage. Listen, make no mistake. When I graduated high school, I didn't have straight A's in math. In fact, it was the opposite. And I remember sitting in the office, and I had a guy, Steve Stalkup, I worked with, and I'd say, Steve, what's the rate? And he'd say 6 5/8. Now, I knew an eighth was 0.125, and I was, faked it till I made it. I'd say, all right, cool. And I go back to my desk and I do 0.125 times 5 with a 6 in front of it, and that was my number. And it took me a while to really understand simple math. I didn't understand it, but what I did know was how to break, common sense down. Here's your debts, here's your payments. And, and that's how I started. And it was just, I don't think success with the industry was something that it was work ethic more than anything. I mean, your work ethic. And I worked with a hell of a group, in the beginning. And, I'll tell you, we were the bad news bearers. People voted us out. We came in there not looking like the other guys, polished up. And, I don't want to mention names. We had a good group. But I'll tell you one thing. It could be a blizzard outside. And the one guy would pick me up in front of my townhome, and I'd literally be pushing the car offside. I would cracking my chin on the ground because we had to get to the Cherry Hill 1 building on Route 70. And that's something I'll never forget, and it was also, for me, it was a fear of loss. You couldn't fail. You couldn't say, hey, I'm not paying child support this week, or hey, I'm not paying my mortgage, or hey, you had no option to do that, and
most people have a
what
fear
drove
of
it.
failure, and it's a crippling thing, and that's what creates that failure to launch and failure to execute.
That's most people's problem. Like,
And yours was more intrinsic of like a fear, a fear of loss, meaning if I don't succeed,
there's no
right.
yeah,
That was, and you know what? Negative motivators are much more powerful motivator than positive ones for your average human
there
being.
there was times companies would go out, and I'd tell my wife, I'd say, I don't have a job, but I'm standing there in a suit, and
Yeah.
in the back, yes, you do. No, I'm not working for anybody at the moment, and I'm out there interviewing who do I want to work with, or
Right.
and I did a lot of entrepreneurial mistakes, like most do, and a lot of life mistakes that humanity, But here's the best part about it. The best part is, no matter what, when you enjoy what you do and you like what you do, I don't care if I'm 47 or 50, or whatever the case may be, you still have an opportunity to turn things around and be the best at what it's going to be, and it resonates off your personality, who you circle with, and so for any mortgage guys out there that are struggling, I can tell you I got a proven track record of which I could mention names that I won't, that I've taken from 1 loan to 10 loans a month, and showing them the ropes, showing them how to do it the way I would do it, and I think all of them would attest to that. So now more than ever, if you want to learn more about where I'm at here and why I came here, inbox me. I mean, shoot me. Most of you guys know my text anyway. I'm not hard to
we're gonna
find.
put that in below.
Yeah, not hard to find, because I love helping people. And I love helping people grow, and to me, it's fun. It's not work. I work around the clock. I mean, sometimes you get your balls broke. Excuse my language.
That's just, I mean,
Can
you can
you
say
shut-
whatever you want here.
All right.
Nobody's
Yeah,
can
can you shut down? But
They're very,
I love what I
very
do.
interested.
I love what I do. And in fact, the worst part, everybody goes through certain phases in life where things are tougher than others. And I think the worst part that I can remember in my just growing up as a man is pulling yourself away from the mindset of work, or pulling yourself away because it's not who you are. And I think that, when I did that, it was just weird. There was days I'm so used to being on that go, on the grind. That's just what makes me and drives me.
But if that's the only thing on your, like, if that's what you're doing, that's what you tie your value to.
It is.
If you lose that, you lose your value.
People
So
look at retiring. I don't even think that way, because I don't care if, no matter what you had put away. To me, why would you not want to continue to do something?
Yeah.
I got to stay busy. I could never, I don't even think that way.
And I've seen so many people too that once they like officially retire, they lose it. They start like
nuts.
unraveling. I mean, would I cut back on the hours? Yeah. I'll work the
Yeah.
hours that I want to work. But until then, it's just
like from 8
full
to 10 every day.
Yeah.
Like, I can swing that. That's why.
Yeah, and everybody, I think life experiences help you too, as a no matter what industry you're in. I mean, really, I always say I could write a book. I can't make this shit up.
It creates
I'm gonna write a
relatability
book
with
one
people
day.
too.
I will write that book. It'll be one of Amazon bestsellers. I can't make this shit up. I promise it'll come
It's just
out.
Craig
one-
like this. But I
I'm
do
gonna have
want
an
to do a
editor sit in
couple
front of
things.
me. I'll just talk. And
I do want to do a couple things before we wrap it up here. So what I want to do is, I think we should commit to doing at least 5 of these
yeah,
before we decide what way to go. But I want us to bring other people in
sure.
to get other people's perspectives and stories. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. So if we have somebody that is out there listening that is interested in either mortgages, figuring out the blueprint for mortgages, the blueprint for real estate, or you just want to connect and be like, hey, let me network with some people that I don't know, step out of my comfort zone, and even just do a first podcast, because we'll be on our second podcast.
And we have the ability of using the room whenever we need.
Yeah, like we
It's
had
a
this
great room.
awesome,
Yeah.
this awesome
Yeah.
space over here at Maximus Mortgage in Cherry Hill, and I also, for next week when we come back, I want us to brainstorm some names for what we can call this podcast.
Well, you had one this morning. What
Yeah,
was it?
well, I mean,
was
we
it?
can
Tight
throw it
shirts,
out,
deep
like
pockets?
tighter shirts, or I'm sorry, deep pockets, tighter shirts, something like that.
Okay,
So,
all right.
like, we come up with something. That was just a joke, but I mean, we can also. That'd be great if I was saying to Omar, we just wear tighter and tighter shirts as we're sitting here, and anybody that comes in, we just no sell it.
Yeah.
So like we're all wearing smalls, and people come in and they look and they're like, what is wrong with you people? And you're like, what are you talking about?
I'll give it a shot. All right. I'm sure I can borrow my kids' clothes. Yeah.
We'll stop at Baby Gap on the way in.
Oh, we could hit my son's closet.
Yeah.
Well, you could hit my closet.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
That's what I would like to do for the next one. But yeah, like if anybody is interested, you did make it to the end. Like I think this is a good first start. Just kind of introduce, kick some ideas around.
I hope people listen to the end.
I mean, they might. They
hope
might
so.
not. But we're gonna try.
Yeah.
And if they do get here, fantastic. But I do think it's fun to do. We're out here. We're networking. We're in the industry, and we're actually working the industry that we're talking about. So if anybody is out there that does need help, we're all here.
And then I get my first one off. Next one I won't be as rusty. I'll come out with some pretty good ideas. There you go.
All right, you got a high bar.
Got a high bar. Yes.
I have an idea for a name.
Do you want to do it now or you want to tease it?
No, we
All right, do it now.
drop it right now.
Yeah,
because I might forget in 5 seconds. Home and Loan.
With that.
Are you gonna put crickets behind that?
With that, I'm gonna have us just like fading away,
or
circling,
or a car crash. Just.
We'll wrap this up. So it's been fun, guys. Let's
do it.
Catch you next week.
You got it.
All right. You want another joke, Omar?
Home and Loan.